You're locked into the G Spot. I am Crazy G, and I am here hanging out at the station. We're going to go to the phones right now because we have none other than Big Dad Ritch on the phone from Texas Hippie Coalition. You there, man?
What's up, baby?
Yeah, let's have it in.
Well, hiding out and laying low in Texas, baby.
Thanks for hitting us up here on the G Spot. How goes the world of rock and roll, man?
Man, if it got any better, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't even know. That's how good it is.
Texas Hippie Coalition has been making strides in every way imaginable. Can you tell us what the ride has been like thus far for you guys?
Man, it's been enjoyable. It's every step of the way. It's, of course, there's struggles, but my dad used to say, when the Lord gives you a bad road, you just ride it out. You know what I'm saying? I guess it's kind of like a sailor back in the day. If Thor was to throw a storm at them, they just have to ride the storm out, So that's what I'm trying to do, baby. I'm just trying to ride on.
Yeah, definitely. Your newest and third CD, Peacemaker, is a solid testament to your style of music. What went into making this CD?
Man, that CD was kind of like us coming to a recognizing that we were actually on a label and that we could express ourselves more. We could spend more time making the album. We could spend more money on the album, So it was just kind of like a step from being a band that, thought they were going to be in a garage and have a lot of fun to becoming a band that's in front of thousands of people.
I became familiar with you guys a few years back when you came out with your first CD. I haven't stopped loving you guys since. You dish out some really incredible music. The track Turn It Up rocks hard. Where did the idea for that song come from?
Man, I just, in being in this music business, it's, especially in what we do, which is the only way we can make money is to tour. So, out of 365 days out of a year, we might be home up 65 to 100 of them. The rest of them, we're putting miles on tires. And it's hard to be in a relationship. It's hard to make a relationship work, to make a relationship last, and to get to that point. And as we were meeting these ladies who dance on poles for a living, a lot of women that work these strip clubs here, I just noticed that their lives are a lot of the same. It's hard for them to be in a relationship with somebody. It's hard for them not to just stay at one bar in one town. They need to move around bar to bar. Maybe they need to move around state to state, Dallas to Oklahoma City, maybe down to Louisiana, whatever they got to do. And I just felt like that there was so much likeness there that I could express their feelings through those words in that song. And it's just like whenever you see little Sarah, what she came from, a perfect life, and darling Nikki, the one who's in her latter years and still working the strip club scene, and everything. And it's just letting you know that both of them, even though they were different worlds and different lives, whenever it come time for them to take the stage, it's time to turn it up. Like turn my music up. I'm fixing to get on this pole and dance my ass off. And that's just kind of like being in a band. We're going up on that stage and turn me up because I'm fixing to go out here and kick you in the neck.
I knew it had to do with something as far as I just assumed, turn up the music. It didn't click with me, and that's a cool story.
I mean, in the storyline, it says little Sarah was from Texas. She was the preacher's daughter. She never practiced much of those things that her father taught her. You know what I mean? It's just that, although she still had faith and wore a cross around her neck, she still wanted to go and do this, And then the other girl, Nikki, it's just a reference to an old Prince song. Darling Nikki, she was from Detroit, So it's just all, just letting you know that these women are still ladies and they've got to do what they got to do for a living. And whenever it's time, you get in that position in life, best thing to do is just turn the music up. And so you got the gist of it. Turn it up.
Yeah. And that's cool too, because I didn't even think of it that way, but it sends a really cool message. You're right. You got to keep going no matter what. You got to do what you got to do in today's world.
Right on, baby.
The self-titled track Peacemaker is a howling, thunderous musical masterpiece. What was it like writing that song?
That song was like, it had so many people had so many different ideas for that song because I had it in my head already, and I don't write music. So as I started expressing it, one of my guitar players kind of gave me like the basic rhythm the bass line to it, and it wasn't getting there or anything. And then I went to Bob Marlette and started expressing it to him, and he really wasn't too crazy about the song at first. He did like the lyrical content and the words and where it was going, but he didn't feel like there was a hook or anything. So we just started working on that, and I really think it just has a lot to do with Bob's friendship with me, how he wanted to give me what I wanted, which was this song, and finally getting all that out and making it come out in that song. That song means so much to me because to me that song is about, I've lost a lot of good friends and a lot of good people to drugs. They're either behind bars or they're dead. And that song to me is just about me wanting to be the peacemaker, because I could go and take all these SOBs out, but I can't, you can't do that in real life. So my gun, my weapon of choice, my peacemaker is that song.
Who says you can't?
I am in Texas. I'm allowed to carry a firearm.
Yeah, exactly. The third single off the CD is Hands Up. The song is explosive with furious licks and lyrics. How did this track materialize?
Man, I just always, like the band that we are, we get put on the bill pretty early in the day, because just trying to build ourselves up to the next level. So we'll take any job. We'll jerk the curtain. We don't give a damn. But when we come out there, we just want those fans that are out there to know the party just started. Oh my God, where's my beer? I need my fist in the air. It's party time, and I know that they're probably there to see the headliner on the bill, or they're there to see somebody later on in the day. But at this point right here, I got my guns out, and I'm robbing them, and I'm stealing them of their time. And when I get done with them, they're going to have their hands up in the air, and they're going to be happy to be robbed by the band of outlaws, which is Texas Hippie Coalition. Get your hands up, baby! It's a highway robbery.
Yeah, they're up, my friend.
I don't give a damn whose fan you are. I just stole you from them.
Yeah. If there was any track, and I know you mentioned how Peacemaker, it's held close to you. If there was any track off Peacemaker that you would say is your personal favorite, which is it and why?
Man, Pawpaw Hill is really one of the songs that I really like off of that album. The guitar player that was with me there that I wrote that song with, it was the first song me and him wrote together, so it had meaning for that reason. But in the content, that's all my life in there. I sing about a lot of crazy stuff. In 8 seconds, I sing from the point of view of a bull. In Peacemaker, I'm kind of singing from the point of view of the gun, but in Pawpaw Hill, that's a place where I grew up on as a little kid. Here in Denison, Texas, you go all the way out East Main Street, and there's a little hill there called Pawpaw Hill, and my whole family lived at the top of that hill. And I would always go back, on the back acreage and go down to the Red River and just clown around and do all kinds of stuff, hunt, get in trouble for shooting cows, all kinds of crazy shit, because I was just a crazy old redneck, red-headed boy, and I just remember, like my whole family would just get around the front porch and start playing guitars and banjos and violins, and we call them fiddles down south, and everybody just be getting down, and, all the women would be in the house cooking, except for the women who were groupie girls, we called them. They'd all be outside watching the men pick, or, even I had one aunt who could play a little dobro, so that's just how, the song starts out. Pawpaw's on the front porch, and he's chicken picking, and Mama's in the kitchen, and she's cooking chicken. And then Aunt Flo's tuning up the dobro, and Uncle Joe's screaming, "Let's rock and roll," and throughout the song, you hear me talking about, cooking wild hog on the grill, which we did. You hear me, true story that when I was a little kid, I was headed back down to the back, and they started telling me that a Sasquatch was going to get me if I went down there. And you hear me talk about Marie Laveau and all that in there, and don't go down there for all those reasons, but they would tell me not to go down there because there was a Sasquatch down there. Well, it wasn't until until later on in life that I found out that the reason I wasn't allowed to go down to that part of our land was because my grandpa had an old still down there and made moonshine down there. And later on in life, I was born in the late 60s, so there in the early 70s, my dad was growing a little weed down there. And they wouldn't let me go down there because he was growing weed down there. So I went from, it's all a true story. It's all laid out in a true story. So that one right there, it hits close to home, so to speak.
That is a cool story, and I'm going to have to listen to that track again just so I can reference this conversation. Texas Hippie Coalition has been on tour for some time now. What has that been like for you guys, and do you have any cool stories you could share with us from the road?
Man, out of 365 days out of the year, we're probably home 65 to 100 of them. In this day and age in the music business, you have to tour. Thank the Lord we're not an East Coast band that have to travel from the East Coast all the way across to the West Coast and all the way back home. Or we're not a West Coast band doing the opposite, going to the East and coming all the way back. We're centrally located in the middle of the U.S., so we can go out and do an East Coast run, come home. We can do a Midwest run, come home. We can go do a West Coast run, come home. It's almost set up perfect being centrally located in the middle of the United States. Always touring like that, it's just hard. It's just hard on you, Anybody out there that's, in the WWE that tours around with them, I'm sure they understand it. Anybody out there that's a rodeo boy and has to tour, run around with the rodeo, NASCAR drivers, everybody knows that traveling and getting in and going is not an easy thing all the time. But, I grew up, my dad was working as a doodle-bugger in the oil fields, and we traveled all over. And my daddy always told me, he had a gypsy heart and a gypsy soul, and wasn't nothing for a gypsy except the road. So as the son of a gypsy, I guess I got to tell you, the road life is it was made for me.
I'll tell you, just on a personal level, I grew up, I kind of know what touring's like. My father was a truck driver for 31 years. So,
right on.
I mean, even though we stayed on the East Coast, it's still pretty grueling.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hell, easiest road to travel out there is like 90, and it ain't easy.
Yeah. You're right. It isn't. It isn't easy at all. People think, okay, straight shot. Yeah, that's fine and well, but it takes a toll on you. It really does.
It takes a toll and you pay a toll. Every 20, 30 miles.
Yeah, no kidding. And I don't like them, man. Let me tell you. I want to say your self-proclaimed genre is red dirt metal. Who came up with this genre style for your music? Was it you guys?
And, when it comes, no, it wasn't us. Being from, I look at things, when you look at bands that started a genre, that's a band that's at the front of the line. There was no line for them to go in and get in, or they can watch the guys in front of them and go, okay, guys, check it out. We're fixing to do this next. You know what I mean? Because you're watching everybody in front of you. Well, there's nobody in front of us. We made our own line over here, and kicking off a genre like that, I guess that's not the easiest thing to do. It's been a hard road, but I'm glad that the world finally is realizing that it's real and that it's here, and apparently it's here to stay. As we just finished our 4th album, and we just signed a record deal for 4 more. So it just seems like that everybody out there was thinking the way I was thinking, that we needed to stay real, and some things were just becoming so automatic and so pasted and cut that people are just starting to fall away from that now and falling back to what's real. And I just stayed true to my guns through this last decade, and everybody's coming around to realizing that this is what we need is real reality, and I hope that's what this music is. And red dirt metal, down here in the South, Texas music has their own chart, their own Billboard chart, because Texas is badass. And there's a style of music down here called red dirt country, and you got bands like Cross Canadian Ragweed, Stoney LaRue, Randy Rogers, Pat Green, Kevin Fowler, all these great red dirt country bands, and they just all fell in love with us, fell in love with the band. We go see them play all the time. I've opened for Gary Allen, Cross Canadian Ragweed, David Allen Coe, Rascal Flatts. When you play with all these country bands and rolling over into them, you get mixed up in with those genres. And all them red dirt boys, Johnny Cooper included, they were all just talking one day, and somebody said, you boys are just like us. You're telling a story. And that's what red dirt country music does. It tells a story. It lays out, real life for you and staying true to your roots and where you came from. And they just did this red dirt metal. And I remember when they said it, I laughed, but then I kept getting hit with it. Every time I'd see somebody, they go, red dirt metal, red dirt metal. And finally I was like, well, dang, I guess we're red dirt metal. So, all those great musicians, Cody Canada and all them boys, with them to say something like that, it's just a badge we wear with merit. You know what I mean?
That's really cool that you're getting support from that genre as well. There are not too many bands with a sound like you guys. I'm really sorry to say that. You're totally different. You're fresh. You're exciting. You belt it out. Yeah, we can go back Molly Hatchet or a few of the older style bands, but honestly, there really isn't a sound like yours, and it's refreshing.
That's the cool thing about being in this band is that we can go tour with Leonard Skinner, we can go tour with Black Label, we can go and do a rock festival like Rock on the Range or Rocklahoma, and then we can go out and do a metal festival like Mayhem. We can do shows with Korn, we can do shows with Danzig, and then we can turn around and do shows with Bad Company. And it's just it's the luxury of being in this band. A lot of times what I do is I see bands out there on tour that I want to see, and what I'll do is I'll just call my agent and say, hey man, can you get me a couple of dates with Queensryche? You know what I mean? And then I end up getting to do a couple shows with a band that I've idolized and listened to and maybe for a short time or for a long time, just like the last time we headlined, I wanted to take out this band from Oklahoma called Anti-Mortem, and we got to take them out. And it's just the luxury of being in this band. You can have you can go out there with David Allen Coe one night, go out there with Leonard Skinner the next night, and go out there with Black Label the next night. It don't matter. It's awesome.
It sounds pretty awesome, and I'm happy for you guys. As I said, I've been following you since I first heard you, since your first CD. I'm curious to know, who are some of your personal musical influences?
In the very beginning, Johnny Cash, Waylon, Willie, later on Van Halen, Motley Crue, and then coming into Pantera, Corrosion of Conformity, Pride and Glory. It's just my influences are vast. Heck, one day I might be listening to Prince. The next day I might be listening to Eric Church. You don't know what the heck I'm going to be doing.
And that's what gives you your creative ability, though. You've mentioned bands, the older ones. That's what I grew up on. I was force-fed, Waylon and Willie and Johnny, and my parents were big country western fans, and so I started off young. But
when you know the word country western, you let me know right then how old you were.
Yeah, don't tell too many people, huh? Is there anything you'd like to say to the fans of THC?
Man, Dad loves you. Dad loves you to death, and you want to keep your a toughness, and you want to keep a hardcore. And I know that's why a lot of bands out there that are out there doing this stuff, they try to have these certain kind of followings and say certain things, But I always say FFF all the time, and that's just keep your faith, make sure you have your family and love your family, and then just be sure that freedom is always yours. Those are the three most important things to me is faith, family, and freedom. And I just want to tell all my fans, thank you so very much for putting food on the table for me, my kids, and my family. It means so very much to me.
I want to thank you because I'll tell you, I've never heard of you guys before, like I said, until a few years ago, and you've turned me on to something new, and I love it. So thank you as well. One last question, and I'll let you go. What can we expect next from Texas Hippie Coalition in 2014?
Well, of course, we're doing the Mayhem Tour, which kicks off July 5th in San Bernardino, California, runs all the way through August the 11th, and down in Houston, Texas, a little town called Woodlands. And you can expect, if anybody comes to any of those Mayhem shows, you can expect me to kick your ass just for showing up. And we have a new album coming out. Singles should be hitting here in July, and then the new album is Right On. As my dad used to always say, son, if the Lord gives you a bad road, just ride it out. Get on that bike and right on. So that's what this album's all about, is just riding the storm out and getting on to the next level and letting everybody know that, you know, a lot of great ones came before us. You know, we spoke of them earlier, the Whalens, the Willies, the Cashes, the Van Halens, the Motley Crues, the Panteras, Clutches, and all these great bands that came before us. The Texas Hippie Coalition is just here to let you know you're about to get one more. And that one more is the Band of Outlaws, THC.
Yeah, baby. Well, I want to say thank you, Big Dad Ritch. I want to thank Texas Hippie Coalition. I want to thank New England Concert Reviews for setting this all up. I wish you the best in the future. I wish you the best on Mayhem, which I should be seeing you here in Massachusetts at the Xfinity Center. I believe that's next month on the 22nd. So I'll definitely be catching you guys again. And, you know, I wish you the best with the new CD, man. You know, keep on putting out that great rock and roll, and, you know, you guys slam, man.
Thank you, my brother.
Hey, you have a good one, and take it easy.
Take care, my friend.
That was Big Dad Ritch, lead vocalist for Texas Hippie Coalition. I am Crazy G in the G spot. This is Outlaw from Texas Hippie Coalition right here on WSUR.
Well, I'm like a hurricane coming, baby. I'm where the sun don't shine.